Now, I've given out a lot of cards over the years, maybe not always on time, but that's aside from the point. Now, this type of card, no matter how many times I've given it out over the years, has always been a hit. Maybe because you just can't find this type of card at a store, so people automatically know that it was handmade for them. Now, one of my favorite things when I give a card is when people sit there and think, how did you make this? It's so much fun to see them try and figure it out. So today I'm not going to show you just how to make this type of card, but I'm also going to be showing you how to take it to the next level really quickly and easily. So let's dive right in. All right, so the first way you know that something is customized is by putting someone's name on it, obviously. So I've grabbed an alphabet die, used my ruler to kind of straighten it out there, and I'm going to add some repositionable adhesive to run that through my die cutting machine. Now I have my front panel all done. It's very white at the moment, but that means I'm going to have to add something a little more exciting to the background. So I'm going to grab a happy birthday sentiment and stamp that in some dark purple. And then I'm going to build a frame around it. Now, of course, if you haven't guessed by this point, we're going to be making some shaker cards today. And again, I'm going to show you something really exciting to take it to the next level in the next two examples. So I'm going to cut down my acetate here. I forgot to add my window. This is, I think, my custom trademark when making a shaker card. I always forget the acetate. I don't know why. So I've glued down the acetate now, and I'm adding my frame to the card. Now, one way to easily take things to the next level, since you already know how to build a frame for your card, make sure to leave no gaps, of course, in between, is to maybe separate your letters or elements in your shaker card. That way you can make different shaker windows with different color sequins and all of that fun stuff. I really love to make these types of cards. I think they're so much fun. One tip when you are putting in things like jewels rather than sequins, make sure they're face down at the moment, because what ends up happening a lot of the times is they can't turn themselves around once you add the backing, and then you just see the back of all the jewels, and that's a shame since jewels are not only a little bit more pricier, but they're also so pretty and you want to be able to see them. So I'm adding some patterned paper here to the back of my card just to give it a little extra color in case there's not enough sequins. And don't forget, of course, to stamp the inside of the card with a special sentiment, and then it's all finished and ready to shake. So that's the basics on how to make a shaker card. So going into my next one, I'm going to be cutting a die that didn't die cut the way I expected, and I am using my scrapbook.com magic mat. All right, back into the video. So adding a piece of pattern paper to my card base here to make some more interest. Now, what the problem was with this die, and what I wasn't expecting, is that it cut into the cardstock rather than cutting something out. So you'll notice on the right and left side of that die cut, they are open. And I thought, how am I going to turn this into a shaker card? And I checked my adhesive drawer because I thought to myself, I think at some point I bought some foam tape or some 3D dimensional tape that was clear. This is the Ranger Letter It clear tape, and I was so shocked. I went and put this on, and you cannot for the life of you see it. So unless I were getting right up to the card with my reading glasses on and looking at it from 1 centimeter away from my nose, I would not be able to see this adhesive underneath the shaker card. Now, how cool is that? All right, adding my fun shaker bits now that I built a frame around the die cut. Remember, you don't need to add the frame for the full size of the card, just around the windowed area. Placing my card base face down on top, lining up the corners, and then getting it all lined up perfectly. Now I decided to add a couple of these clear pieces here to the back here so that my card didn't really sag because it was 3D and at the bottom and not at the top. And then I decided to add my sentiment. I was so excited. Catherine Pooler came out with some new colored inks, but then when I stamped them, I forgot to stamp off on a sheet of paper because they come so juicy and my sentiment looked a bit ridiculous. Don't you hate when mistakes happen? They happen to everyone. It's not the end of the world. Usually I can find a quick way to fix the problem, like adding some washi tape over top or covering it up with a sequin, but sometimes they end up in the trash. That was not the case this time, so I was happy about that. So I decided to fix my mistake by adding a bit of washi tape over top. I had a card in mind for someone here, so I grabbed some Harry Potter washi tape. I know they love Harry Potter, and that was a really easy save. I added some to the top and the bottom and decided to just stick to black for now until I stamp those ink pads off on some scrap paper before I start using them. So I'll be using them soon, just not right now. So I love this sentiment. Crafting is a work of heart, and I love the way that this turned out, so elegant and pretty. And I think the washi tape really added a bit of extra something special. Now, if you ever find yourself sitting there and thinking to yourself that you have no idea what to create today, I suggest going through your actual card stash and checking out a card that maybe you've made in the past. You can easily adapt cards to become shaker cards. So instead of just placing all of your embellishments or die cuts on top of a piece of cardstock, swap that out for a piece of acetate, add some foam, and call it a shaker card. You've made a completely different card that is interactive, but you haven't had to come up with any sort of new design. That's what I did for this next card, and you'll see how. All right, let's get ready to take things to another level. I grabbed some layering dies, die cut them all, and I made 6 flowers in total when I glued them all together. Don't you wish it went as quickly as that? All right, so again, I'm taking inspiration from a previous card, and instead of adding these to a white card base, I am adding them to a piece of acetate. Running into the same problem as before though, that I don't have a frame around them. Of course, I could have added a frame out of cardstock using some rectangle dies and added some regular foam tape underneath. That would have been no problem. Now you'll notice that I used some liquid glue here. That was so I'd have time to actually place the leaves underneath. Using a paperweight though to kind of get things settled here, leaving it for a minute or two before I get cutting. And now I am going to cut off all of the extra edges here that are coming off, but save these daisies. You can still use them, so anybody thinking I'm wasting them right now, could be further from the truth. So what you can do is then add some of those pieces that were cut off to add just a little bit more bulk to your cards here, and you don't have to cut out as many daisies. So here is my clear panel. It looks absolutely stunning. I'm adding some of that clear foam tape once again. And don't forget, you could of course use regular foam tape if you create a frame around your dies. Adding some gold sequins, small and large, as well as some iridescent sequins, and hand placing some jewels face down. As I told you before, it's better to do it that way, and adding a piece of patterned paper behind for a little extra color and a little more interest. So now I'm adding everything just to my card base, sticking on a sentiment that I've heat embossed onto black cardstock, and it is all fun. How gorgeous did this card turn out, and I didn't even have to think of a new idea. Now, if you thought that fun little trick about the clear tape was exciting, I have several shaker card hacks here in this video, and I'm gonna meet you over there so we can get even more inspiration for our shaker cards. Check it out, and I'll see you there. Bye for now.